So I don't understand why we're playing so much zone when we're playing these, we're paying Nelson and Slay big money to be, stoppers of, of the 1 and 2 receiver. Get up on them, play man to man, play tighter on, even if it's zone, play tighter on these guys. Don't give the autonomy to just run off the line of scrimmage, because guys can get open faster doing that way. Long term, I don't see as something that this ownership wants to do. That they want a pure drop back passer. They want a Carson Wentz type of player. They want a guy that's going to sit back and like Tom Brady and push the ball down the field.
Killing Tuesday here on Bird 365 as we face the Carolina Panthers this weekend. But before we look ahead, we got to look back a little bit. I want to give you insight from our next guest, former Eagle, contributor here on the JAKIB YouTube channel. You catch him on NBC Sports Philly. Barrett Brooks jumps aboard with us here on Birds 365.
Good morning, guys.
Big B?
Good. How's it going?
Good, Barrett. Good to see you. I guess we got to start with the offensive line because of what happened with Lane Johnson being the late scratch against the Kansas City Chiefs. So you're down 80%, man. It's Jason Kelce holding down the fort. I thought the guys played well, though. I can't get to that offensive line as an issue for that loss. I think everyone, Jack Driscoll, right tackle, Nate Herbig, right guard, Landon Dickerson moves to the left guard. Andre Dillard, I know people criticize the penalties, but it wasn't his fault when he called those RPOs and you're downfield. I thought they played well. As a former offensive lineman, how did you grade them?
You can't say that they lost the game for it. They definitely didn't. I really thought that Dillard played a really good game. I mean, he for the most part kept his side of the line clean. I mean, they played well from the aspect of what they were asking to do. They executed what they asked them to do. This RPO things, this is what happens, I mean, that's why they're so prevalent in college football, because you get 3.5 yards in college football, you get 1.5 in the NFL, and there lies the problem. If you're going to run that type of system, you got to take, you got to take whatever comes with it. And what comes with it is you're asking an offensive line to block run. They're not blocking pass, and that's the biggest difference that fans have to understand. They are blocking a run play. They're not blocking the pass part of the RPO. It's run first, and that's what they're doing. They're coming off the ball. They're trying to blow people off the ball. So when you have a read where you have to get up and get that linebacker, you're going to be downfield. So I mean, it's one of those damn if you do, damn if you don't type of plays.
Let me ask you, during your time in the National Football League here in Philadelphia and elsewhere, did you ever play for a team that used RPOs? It's become more of a fad in the league over the last 10 years, which is past your time, but maybe it was part of a very unlikely used part of a playbook that you didn't get to very often, but you had to at least learn it because the coach wanted to have it if he needed to go to it. You did a good job of explaining it to us conceptually, but did you ever have to do it yourself?
No, I never did. In fact, we should have had an RPO system my first year in the league because I had Randall Cunningham, who's one of those quarterbacks that you could have ran an RPO with, and he'd have lit the league up. Can you imagine the ultimate weapon running RPOs, given the ability to throw the ball, run pass? That's something that he would have tore the league apart with that type of scheme. Instead, they tried to cut the field in half for quarterbacks like Randall. They ran not RPOs, but they ran like waggle protection. Waggle protection is this, they block pass, but they'll pull the backside guard, move Randall out of the pocket, and the backside guard almost be like, he'll be a personal bodyguard for him out there in space, just in case, somebody blitzes or something, he would pick him up. It's block like pass, but they just wanted to get him out in space, or they would run sprint right option, which they, get him going one way and throw the ball to the receiver on the crossing route. They ran stuff like boot protections. Those were the RPOs back then. They didn't have like a run pass necessarily option on them. He would either pass the ball or he would run, take off running. They just wanted to move the pocket for him, and quarterbacks like him. That's how they were able to, really use their athleticism in the passing game as opposed to just sitting back there being a pocket passer. I can remember talking to Randall. The only time he said he really got hurt is when he was inside the pocket. Outside of the pocket, he could avoid those type of hits. So, it's different. It's in a different system in which they're running now as opposed to back then. But I mean, I tell you what, man, guys would have lit the league up with a system like this, especially Randall.
So, Barrett, let's fast forward back to the current Eagles, and we see these penalties, these illegal downfield penalties. Nick mentioned it's just a timing issue. So is it on the quarterback to get the football out? Bang, bang.
Yep. That's what it is. It's a fast read. It's a fast option. I mean, if you ask your offensive line to do anything different, then they're not going to be as effective if they do hand the ball off and run. They won't be getting guys at the second level. They won't be blowing guys off the ball because they'll be hesitant. And you don't want your offensive line to be hesitant. You want them to block the run aspect of the play. So they're going to run it like they're running inside zone, go up there, and they're going to pick that linebacker up. He just has to get the ball out of his hand faster. Now, I was talking to a couple guys yesterday on my show, and I was telling Aton and Harry, I said, look, guys, they could run RPOs out of draw plays. I've seen teams do that in college. They run the draw. That way they, get the defensive ends, use their strength against them by getting them up the field, throwing them pass, and then handing the ball off on a draw play. And then, in the pass section of it, you actually optioning off the backside linebacker with the slant on the backside. So if you have a slant on the backside, the quarterback's going to read that backside linebacker. So if the linebacker plays the run and comes and fills, you throw the slant on the backside, in which that's the area that he vacated by coming and filling on the play. Or if he sits back, you hand the ball off to the running back, and he runs not the option, but he runs the what do you call it? I just said it. Draw play. He'll run the draw play up the middle because that linebacker stayed at linebacker depth. That means the offensive line to get to him, and that'll be a great play because they've gotten to that backside linebacker. So those, they could run it like that also. There's different ways to skin a cat. You just have to really focus on how you want to execute the blocking schemes. So, there's many ways that they can run it. And I would rather run it with a draw play. I mean, I like the way, certain teams run it with the draw play as opposed to with the zone play that they've been running it out of.
Barrett, let me ask you about the Eagles defense. I know your side of the ball was offense, but you had to try and thwart defenses with what you guys did offensively, so I know you know it. The Eagles have been just gashed the last couple of weeks on the ground. And I'm going to look at a specific group, and that's the linebackers.
Yes.
If Fletcher Cox is getting double-teamed as much as we are told he is, and I'm not breaking down film, I'm not going back through play-by-play and counting how many plays he's being double-teamed. If Javon Hargraves is being double-teamed as often as we're told he's being, and again, I haven't done the play-by-play game breakdown film, but assuming that's correct, that means somebody's being unblocked. You can't throw double teams at both of the tackles and tell me the linebackers are being blocked. They're just not. That can't be. It's 11 versus 11. You don't get to sneak two extra guys on the field if you're on the offense.
Exactly.
Are they playing too far back? Are they not adjusting quickly enough and coming up and filling holes? Is there a scheme deficiency? How have the Eagles linebackers been so inefficient against the run the last 2 weeks?
Well, it's the second question, that you asked. It's the linebackers not reacting as fast as they're supposed to be reacting. Schematically, they should be playing a lot better. And if I'm going to break it down in its purest form, if you're a linebacker, you did this in high school, you did this in college, and now at the NFL you have to do it. When you see a double team. And let me start off with this. When linebackers read at the most primal way they're supposed to play, when they're reading a play, if you have a double team, if your gap is within that double team, you have to go initiate contact with the guard, get that guard off. That means you have a linebacker that's one-on-one with a block and a defensive lineman that's one-on-one with a block. And in those gaps, now you can read and react and get off and go get the play, go get the running back, but you're at the same level because you initiated contact at the same level as the guard. What's happening is the double team is coming and they're waiting for the read. And by the time, they get, he reacts to it. The double team is pushed that defensive lineman all the way back to him, which is 4 or 5 yards down the field. And now if he reacts anywhere he goes, it's wrong. You have to initiate contact, come downhill, and fill your gap. When you fill your gap as a linebacker, the extra double team guy has to get off on you. Now you're in your gap. The defensive lineman is in his gap. Now you're at the same level. Now there's no hole for the running back to fit through. Now you're playing right now. It's a one-on-one block where you can either beat your guy or the defensive lineman is going to beat his guy. You have more of a shot, instead of getting double team all the way back to to linebacker level. Because when you're at linebacker level, now there's gaping holes because you can't fill your gap because the gap has been stretched because you've moved the guy out of his gap and pressed them all the way back to you. So they're not filling fast enough to really get an accurate read on what they're trying to do. So when you're dumping your defensive lineman in the linebacker's lap, he has two ways that he can go. He's not wrong. But if you force the issue, if you come downhill and fill your gap, that takes the double team off. Now you're one-on-one with a guy, the defensive lineman one-on-one with a guy, and one of you are more likely to win as opposed to the double team and you trying to play off a double team and you're trying to read that. It's just harder to play. This is basic, fundamental high school football that's not taking place. These linebackers have to get downhill. Now, to put it in its rarest form, in its simplest form, they're not big enough really to be trying to go up there and fill the gaps like that. I guess that's what they're thinking. So they're trying to read and react. Well, even the smallest linebackers still have to go fill their gap. That's their responsibilities. And your responsibility is to take the double team off that defensive lineman. You have to read that triangle. As a linebacker, you read a triangle. You read from where you are to the guards to the ball. That's your triangle. And in order for you to make some stuff happen, you have to at least fill your gap in your responsibility before you can read anything else.
So, Barrett, to further that, Nick Sirianni yesterday was talking about a lot of, and obviously he's not the defensive coordinator, but he's got as he said, he puts his signature on everything. And he was talking about the zone and the two deep looks, and you give a little, you get a little, as he described it. They're giving a lot. They're not getting a lot back. Is it a personnel issue? Is it a coaching issue when we talk about the linebackers and filling those gaps? And at what point, you talk about the lack of size, maybe you got to put a TJ Edwards in there and live with some of the coverage deficiencies. Is that where we are with this defense?
I think so. I mean, no, that's not I think so. I know so. I know that you're going to have to schematically, just like Sirianni does with his offensive side, he schemes around the talents that you have. So I don't understand why we're playing so much zone when we're playing these, we're paying Nelson and Slay big money to be, stoppers of the 1 and 2 receiver. Get up on them, play man to man, play tighter on, even if it's zone, play tighter on these guys. Don't give the autonomy to just run off the line of scrimmage, because guys can get open faster doing that way. Even in zone, you can play a matchup zone in which you get up closer on these guys. Now the passing routes are at least altered a little bit. I mean, guys are getting off the line and they're going wherever they want to go on this defense, and you're not paying guys to be those type of players. You're paying Slay and Nelson to be one-on-one defenders on the best receivers, and we're not doing that. So I don't understand, why we're not, taking our best talent and scheming them to be more aggressive. You can do that now. Back, last year, they didn't have the guys to do that. They have DBs now that can do it. Why not take advantage of it? I mean, you see what Big Red did. All he did was scheme his best receiver, put him in the slot, and allow him to be on a Vonnie Maddox all day or a linebacker all day. Well, we're going to have to do the same thing. Why not move in Slay on Hill and have that matchup, will be better suited to do that. Now he just won't beat him off the snap of the ball. Now he's going to, alter the passing route a little bit. Now you're in a better position to maybe rally around or maybe even double team a guy like that. We're just not doing things schematically on the defensive side of the ball that I thought we were going to do. I thought we were going to be more aggressive, send more blitz. We're not doing that either. So you have the personnel to do it. Why not go ahead and start doing it?
Barrett, need your perspective on this as a former offensive lineman, because you should have a different yet insightful perspective. the Eagles quarterback, for varying reasons, has rolled to his left a bunch in the first 4 games. I get it as a right-handed quarterback. There is an upside to rolling to your left, that being the defense isn't looking for it. They believe a right-handed guy is going to roll right more than he's going to roll left. But it is more difficult. There's a reason why the defense does it, because it's more difficult to stop, plant, throw, takes away a percentage of the field. And they've come out with him going left. Some designed, more Jalen evading a rush and deciding to go left. It hasn't worked well. Now you've got guys like Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, who was here in the link the other day, who can do that, who can pull that off, who can roll left and still have the gun to be able to make that play. I'm not sure Jalen does. How do you correct that? How do you just get away from that? Nick Sirianni can certainly call last plays and go, yeah, we know. We might have an extra second because the defense isn't going to be able to react because they're not looking for it. But if Jalen can't make the pass, it doesn't matter. That extra second becomes irrelevant. Do you have to get in Jalen's ear and say, listen, when you're avoiding, still try and get either up into the pocket or go right. Don't go left. He's done a lot of sprinting out to the left, and it hasn't worked. How do you correct that, Barrett?
I think it might just be more of a comfort thing. I think he was more comfortable. This last game, I think they were just more comfortable with the way Dillard was playing. And I had it a lot to do when I was playing, when you have a quarterback that's right-handed and he believes in his left tackle, you tend to lean towards a guy that you believe in more so than you go to a guy.
Spoken like a true left tackle. I can guarantee you. That's why this guy feels that way, because that's the position he played.
Yeah, exactly. So I think he felt more comfortable with Dillard and his ability to really latch on to his guy as opposed to going to the other side, where you had a guy that he hadn't really been there. He had just came off IR. And at that point, you're asking him to really be, really go out there and play, that in a way in which, he was solid. And he hadn't been there. Jack Driscoll, he had just come off IR. So I think he was more fading to that side because he was more comfortable with Dillard. Dillard was there for the past 2 games, and that comfortability allowed him to kind of, fade over to that left side a little more. And then it just so happened that, if the rush was coming, the guy in front of him was on his right side, and that's why he would try to move to his left a lot more. I think that's just a comfort thing for, most quarterbacks. You look at, Ty Detmer, he used to fade to his left all the time. Rodney Peete didn't fade. Rodney Peete wasn't going anywhere. He just stayed right there in the middle. But then I had RC also, Randall Cunningham. He would fade to his right a little bit, And it's just, it's just something that some quarterbacks just do unconsciously. And it hurts you as a left tackle, sometimes. But, that just might be which way Hurts feels more comfortable in rolling out because, he just feels that he could do it and he has more of a better blocker in that instance on that left side. And they think about stuff like that.
I think it's a positive because I think you're right, Barrett. Quarterbacks have that DNA and I think Jalen's DNA is to flush right a little bit too early as opposed to climb the pocket. Which I think would be, but that's a tough habit to break. So if you're going the opposite direction, I think that's a positive, at least from a general sense. But let's talk about the quarterback because everybody week 1, he's a superstar. Week 2, cut him. Week 3, he's not good enough. Week 4, I threw for 387 yards. He's great again. Why are we in this constant EKG state with these large swings up and down? Guy's playing pretty well. I don't think the Eagles have a great team around him. He's performing pretty well. My question is a bigger picture one. Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, do they want this type of offense? We were talking RPOs. Do they want this type of offense? I don't think they do.
You're right, man. Long term, I don't see as something that this ownership wants to do. That they want a pure drop back passer. They want a Carson Wentz type of player. They want a guy that's going to sit back and like Tom Brady and push the ball down the field. this isn't the type of offense that you're going to have with that, And I heard you guys talking earlier about Frank Wright and his ability to customize offenses around the people that he has, the quarterbacks that he has, and that's exactly what the case is with Nick Sirianni. He's going to run an offense that's more suited to his skill set. At this point, he hadn't have time to really make the ownership happy and have him sit back and be a drop back quarterback, because they will not have any success if they force him to do that. They're going to have to move him around a little bit because he's more comfortable with doing that. And if they don't, he's going to do it on his own. So he's either, coach this guy up and get him in a system in which would help him be successful, or he's going to do it himself and make his own self successful and try to push the ball down the field by moving around in the pocket and not getting his head kicked in if the pocket collapses. You're going to see that happening. As for, running an offense that's more customized around Jalen Hurts, you're going to have to cut the field in half. He's still a young quarterback. And that's not a knock on him, because it takes a lot of quarterbacks a longer time to develop being a pocket passer. Everybody think, look at Steve Young. Steve Young was not a pocket passer. He's a guy that moved around. They customized an offense around him by running waggle protections, pulling the backside guard, by running sprint right option, which is the best play in football. He's one of the guys that started really running it for him, but he's a lefty, so the sprint left option. Those are all plays in which help him become a better quarterback, because you had to customize an offense around him. Just because of Steve was a lefty, sprint left option, they devised a play where they run sprint left instead of sprint right. Those are all things that you're trying to help your player be the best that he can be by running an offense that's customized around him. And we as a fan base have to understand this is only Jalen's 8th game that he started. He's essentially a rookie. And then you have a rookie coaching staff, not just head coach, but coaching staff. And you're asking him and the rest of these guys to run an offense they just learned in the past, 2 months? This isn't something that just comes as natural as people think it is. It's tough, trying to deal with a situation like this. It's not like, when the head coach from Green Bay just came in and they won 13 games. They had an all-star quarterback back there. This is a young quarterback. So he's going to have to learn. He's been successful at every level he's been in, but, it's just going to take a while. Will he have that time to go out and be learn the system and grow? We don't know, because we don't know what's going to go on with how this coaching staff and this ownership is going to want him to be the guy. We don't know if he's going to be the guy or not. But, hey, give him an opportunity to at least show you what he can have. And I think that's what Nick Sirianni is allowing him to do, trying to build to his strengths to get some kind of success with him.
Barrett, let me zero in on this weekend's opponent, the Carolina Panthers. Andy Reid set a record this week, first ever coach to go 100 wins with 2 different organizations. Tip the cap to Big Red on that one. But there was another all-time NFL record set this past weekend as well, and I had no idea that was the case. The quarterback of the Carolina Panthers, Sam Darnold, got 2 more rushing touchdowns, which gave him 5 in the first 4 weeks in the National Football League season. No other quarterback had ever done that before. Not Randall Cunningham, not Mr. Jackson down in Baltimore, not Steve Young. Roll out every other great running quarterback you ever want to think of. None of them had ever run for 5 touchdowns in their first 4 games in any season. Sam Darnold did. I'm not saying it makes him the greatest rushing quarterback of all time. It makes him a weapon at this time. The Eagles really haven't played a running quarterback yet. Matt Ryan, no. Dak Prescott, no. Jimmy G, no. Mahomes can. He didn't last week, but I think he's got the capability to do it if he wants to. This is a guy who's going to pull it down. He's going to take off on you. Are the Eagles well suited to play that type of quarterback?
No, because we can't stop the run. So it's definitely something that we got to look at. At this point, Matt Rule, he understands what he has as far as an offense, and having Sam Darnold there, he was a drop back quarterback at USC, but understanding that he's running for his life back there. A lot of the times that he's running, now they're starting to run plays for him. Especially in the red zone, but he was mostly running for his life because that offensive line is not good. They are not a pass-blocking offensive line. They're a run-blocking offensive line. Hence, that's why Christian McCaffrey and all those guys, Chuba Hubbard, Royce Freeman, all those guys are good running backs because that offensive line are built to run the ball. They are very weak on the edges. Their 2 tackles they get beat a lot. So he's been running for his life, and he's shown the ability to get out the pocket and pick him up and put him down. So because he's able to run around like that, and they see that, they're starting to nurture it a little more and allow him to do a lot more of that. Now, are the Eagles necessarily a team that could, that could stop that? It's going to be hard. But this is a game that I really think that they're going to have to step up. They're going to have to go back to basic fundamental football. And those linebackers are going to have to field the way they've never fielded before in order to be successful and even compete with this Panthers team. And it's terrible I have to say compete with them, because if they continue to sit back at linebacker depth and not go downhill, it's going to be a long day, because now they're going to run plays in which they're going to have a draw play where they're going to have a lead back. The running back is supposed to get the draw play, but they're going to have Sam Darnold run, and he's going to have a lead blocker now who's supposed to be running the ball. That's just one more blocker in the mix running with this quarterback. It's going to be hard in the red zone to stop that if we're not filling and getting to our gaps and being sound in our gap discipline. We're just not going to do it. So it's going to be tough going against Sam Darnold. And, he's been hosing it around a little bit too.
And Christian McCaffrey might be back on top of it.
I think he is back.
Yeah,
I just read that he is back.
Yeah, so that's going to make things even that much more difficult. Before you get out of here, Barrett, I do want to ask you about Landon Dickerson, because I thought he was much better, much more natural at left guard than right guard. Did you see the same thing, and how much can that can help an offensive lineman? You played all over. When you have your comfort zone, how much does that help you?
Oh, man, of course, he's a young guy, so he's going to be more – that's where he spent the major part of his reps, on the left side during camp. He feels more comfortable there. And just another game under his cap, he feels more comfortable playing in the NFL now. So he's seen the speed to the game. It's going to start slowing down for him. He's just a mountain, man, and he's a big, aggressive guy. And now that he's starting to get his legs up underneath him, he's going to get even better, as a player. Now, the other guys, Nate Herbig, he played pretty well also. But, you're going to have to, just like they're customizing the offense around, your quarterback, you're going to have to do the same thing in what you're asking your offensive line to do also. You can't go out there and think we're going to throw the ball 40 and 50 times a game and this offensive line is going to be successful. They're going to have to go out there and run the ball just to get these guys comfortable, get them firing off and get them lathered up, as opposed to sit back, dropping back and throwing it 50 times a game. And then, asking them, who are not really built to be pass blockers, to pass block. Nate Herbig, he's a bulldozer. He's a road grader. Get him coming off the ball as opposed to regressing back as a pass blocker. Do the same thing with Landon Dickerson. It's a must. It's imperative that they run the ball so these guys are more comfortable throughout the game and not, back on their heels with a defensive line, especially the line that the Panthers have, coming off the ball and pinning their ears back against this young offensive line. They're going to have to run the ball more consistently in order for them to have any success going into this game.
All right, Double B, you said you were listening to the show earlier. That was probably way on hold. You may have not caught hour number one. Dueling NFL players today. We had you and we had Colin Thompson, tight end for the Panthers, in hour number one. Colin, you could have told us McCaffrey was going to play. He told us how good he was. He didn't give us any insight that he was going to play, though. So, but we'll forgive Colin on that. But he is a true blocking tight end. During your day playing in the NFL, who was the tight end when he came to your side and was in line with you? You said, "All right, I'm good here. We're gonna get done what we need to get done here. Because if it's me and my buddy to my outside, we're going to open up a hole. We're not going to let anybody get near the quarterback." Who was the best pass blocking tight end?
It had to be Ed West. Ed West, they used to call him Toolbox. You call him Toolbox. Toolbox, man, when he came to play, oh my goodness. I remember I'm in the we're on the line of scrimmage and we had a stretch play called, and I'm supposed to pull around on the play. And I turn around and I tell my guard, I tell him, hey, I got a tag play, tag. And he looked at me and said, tag? What do you mean tag? I mean, I got one-on-one out here? No, you come with me. I said, I can't come with you. I got to pull. No, you better not pull. I'm going to leave him alone. You better not pull. And we end up double teaming to the linebacker. Guy I'm supposed to pull out on. We double team to him. We get in the meeting room. Coach, he's like, Brooks, what is this call? I said tag. Ed said no, he wants me to double team to this linebacker. He said, oh, well, you're supposed to tag, but hey, it works, so keep doing it. So from that point on, we would double team on the play instead of going and me pulling around, just because he said, hey, you get paid to block these big guys. I get paid to halfway block these big guys.
Oh, that's a good line. Barrett, great stuff. Please send our regards to Mr. Shander and Mr. Mays. Have a good one on the middle this afternoon. We'll get you back down the road with us.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Barrett.
JAKIB.
Ed West. Yeah, I like that. I like those Barrett stories. You get those.
I thought it was a good day to ask that one just because we had Colin on earlier.
Yeah, that was a good question, Jody. Ed West. Yeah, he was a good player.
And I didn't even know this. Did you know this? We're one West down in professional sports. Joe West is walking away from.
Oh, no, I did not know that, but that's a good
I didn't
day.
know it either. A caller told me that last night on WIP that Ed West was retiring. Excuse me, Joe West was retiring.
Yeah,
I miss Ed.
We might get a ball and strike called correctly, is what we're saying.
I miss Ed West. I will not miss Joe West. Yeah. Good luck, Cowboy Joe. Just saunter off into the sunset. You will not be missed from this baseball fan's perspective. All right. Hey, we got a couple minutes left. He's John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. Come back. Let's put a bow on a show on Birds 365.